My name is Scott Wakefield. I'm the lead pastor at First Christian Church of Greene County, and I am here tonight with
David Bowlin.
And we are going to have a
Coffee Convo.
Awkward. Let's make it especially awkward, David.
Oh, no.
David's like, I'm all about awkward. Hey, Coffee Convos is an opportunity to speak with our friend David about the work of God in his life, to drink some good coffee or coffee mug that holds liquid together.
It's just water.
Water.
Yeah.
It's Water Convos. Tonight is Water Convos. We're glad you're with us. It's live. So jump in the comments. Let us know you're here with us and help direct the convo with our friend David. And so we're going to have a good time for about the next 45 minutes. So jump in and let us know you're here and ask some good questions about David Bowlin.
David Bowlin.
David Bowlin. So, David Bowlin. Give us a little bio, where you're from, family history, spouse, children, vocation. Give us your CV. By the way, CV is very big adult language for your curriculum vitae or vita.
It's your CB? What?
CV.
CV. What does it stand for?
It's just Latin for resume.
Okay.
This is off to a great start. Let's talk about you. Who are you?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I have grown up in Greenville. I was actually born in Greenville.
You were? You were born here?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
Have been coming to First Christian Church since I was like 4,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So born in Greenville, grown up on a little bit of a farm, always working with Dad on Saturdays and things.
Mm-hmm.
Grown up at FCC, been a part of what happens here. I've got 3 other siblings. A couple of them are often married now. Dad says I've got to be married by 21.
I like it.
That's the.
I like it. So you got 2 years. So let's talk prospects. How's that going? No, just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, no. It's not going right now.
Well, there you go, ladies. Listen up. Come on.
No. This is no.
This is just one big advertisement for you, David.
Oh, please, no.
Tell us more about yourself.
Man, what more is there to tell? I work
What do you mean,
here.
what more is there to tell? You've been alive for 19 years.
There's a lot to tell. I'm a simple Greenville, born and raised, grown up in the church kind of guy. So,
Yeah.
But God has done work within my life. I'm now here working at the church, actually.
Indeed.
And in my sophomore year of college. So,
Okay.
I am gonna be this fall leading a young adults ministry here alongside going to college at Walter State here in Greenville. So
Yes, indeed. Pillar Young Adults.
Pillar Young Adults, yes.
Pillar Young Adults. Tell us about Pillar and where that name came from and what it means and why you, the Holy Spirit, chose it.
Pillar came from, it goes into a little bit of the roots of where this came from. I'd started a Bible study, which grew, and I guess I could say God opened my eyes to the reality of the church, what it is, what it does, and its beauty.
Amen.
And so Pillar comes from a passage that was influential for me in that as I studied and learned more about it from 1 Timothy 3.
Yeah.
1 Timothy 3:15 says that the church of the living God is the pillar and foundation of the truth, or pillar and buttress of the truth.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from. Wow, this is what upholds the truth for the world.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful thing. And one of the verses I'd always reference as wow, this is really cool what the church does. And as I looked at it and saw the world and saw the church and what great good God does through it.
Yeah. People are the pillars.
Absolutely.
People are the pillars for the truth.
Yes.
Good stuff. So Pillar Young Adults it is. Launches Tuesday, August 24th.
August 24th.
And you've been leading a bunch of preview things and bonfire, hiking.
Yes, we've been doing all sorts of events. We've had up to like 65 young adults come and be a part of those. We're building up toward a launch that's going to happen on the 24th. It's going to be great. Going to be doing some outreach to the colleges here at Tusculum and hopefully Walter State.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. You said God opened my eyes to the church, I think you said, is how you said it.
Well, the reality of what it is more so, because I've been a part of the church.
Right.
Many of us, it's a typical Bible Belt, we go to church. It's just the thing you do as a you've grown up in the church.
Yeah.
But I think we often don't realize the true beauty of what the church is and what it does. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
Yeah. When did that happen? Do you remember any particular moments or milestones or things or people or experiences that were some of those kinds of moments for you? I'm not sure what that was, by the way. I've never done that in my life. That's the first time.
You're absolutely. Well, I led this Bible study, like I said, and there began to be many people who started to come, and I led this, and at one point there was up to 20 people coming, and that was just each night. So there were up to 50 who had come, and I started to realize, wow, am I the one that should be leading this? How should this work? How do I discern those decisions? Begin to feel some of the weight of that, and think, I guess the question became, okay, how is ministry done? How does God desire we do ministry? Yeah. And that's what happened. It wasn't just me coming to the conclusion of the church. I dove into the scriptures and I read, and I particularly got a blue pen and I underlined everything in my Bible that pertained to the church and its role and the things it does, and to ministry. Yes. And I began to see, as my Bible got filled out with these blue pen marks, whoa, this is everywhere. It's everywhere. This is everywhere. Yeah. And the language that was used was things for instance, evangelistic things. I'd see that people were sent out by the church to do the work, and that Paul would use this language towards Timothy and stuff as though he'd proved himself, and that's why he was sent for this role. So I realized, wow, there's a sense in which you are in the presence of other believers. You experience affirmation for the call. Yes. That discernment does not happen on your own. That's right. Absolutely. So there's so many. I could speak for hours on this, but that's what it came down to. How is ministry done? And my conclusion is that the Scripture teaches. The church is the thing from which it comes forth. So. Good stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, we say a couple things like this about how a couple thoughts related to that. We talk about decision making and discerning the will of God and what does He want for my life and what should I be doing, etc. How are my gifts to be used and those kinds of things. And then the second thing I was going to mention along with that is that we don't know how to decide that stuff on our own as much as we think we do. And that we don't know who we are and how God's made us and how He's called us and how to use those gifts unless we're told by others. Because we are the only person on the entire planet who doesn't experience us from the outside 100% of the time. Yes. And so when you have the people of God around you, when you have people who are pillars of truth around you, saying things, confirming things, it evidences God's calling for you. So that's what you've been experiencing. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And then you're in the scriptures and you read that stuff and you go, whoa, I want to be a part of that. Yeah, and then you go and are a part of that body and you see in light of the scripture that the scripture is true about what it says in those things. That's right. Yeah. So it's really cool. It opened my eyes in a lot of ways, and I see the beauty of what happens here.
That's some of what we mean by, and we'll get to a few other things here about you soon because we've got questions already.
Yeah.
But that's part of what we mean by the self-authenticating nature of Scripture.
Yes.
There's an internal thing where it's self-authenticating because Scripture interprets Scripture and it fits together, and it's obvious that only the Spirit of God can make that happen. But there's also an external authentication about the authority of Scripture, and that's what you were just saying there.
Yes.
Like you can see as you're living out these things, and people are feeding into you, and you watch things happen. You go, "Oh, this is just like the Scriptures say."
Yeah.
Wow, it actually does work that way, that means that the Scriptures then are reinterpreting your experience of what you used to call reality because you thought it was this way, but then you see it's telling you it's this way.
Yes, you see that the Scriptures are consistent with reality,
Yeah.
which is a way the Scriptures are self-evident. And when you're
So good.
involved reading, and
Yes.
that, I believe, one of the best things you can do as a believer struggling with doubts and things is to get in the Word and read, because it has power to work in that. And you begin to see, wow, this is right. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
This is from God. He opens your eyes in that. So he certainly has on this particular topic and many
Yeah.
others. But
Yeah.
yes.
It's a two-edged sword. It opens us up, tells us who we are.
Yes.
It's useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And
Yeah.
good stuff. So let's talk about you for a bit. Then we'll come back to talk about ministry and the work of God in your lives and in your life. You have many lives. Questions, though. One person says, "We love David and his heart for the Lord. Thanks for choosing to lead."
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Dagny says you're Wakefield. You're Wakefield. She is Wakefield, by the way. Dagny says you're welcome. I can't talk and read at the same time, clearly.
No, I understand that.
Favorite hobbies?
Favorite hobbies? Okay.
Other than listening to my sermons, which everybody says. Everybody in that seat at Coffee Convos always says that, but other than that.
I do like FCC app is probably my most used app, so that's it's a great resource there.
Indeed.
I play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing that, and I love music in general. I listen to country music, some old gospel, some bluegrass stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Christian contemporary stuff.
Any particular bands or artists?
I love Randy Travis.
Okay.
He's one of my favorites.
Okay.
He's got some great stuff.
Cool.
I
have just discovered, they used to be called Mandolin Orange. Now they're called Watch House. It's a couple, a husband and wife duo out of North Carolina. It's just very stripped down, acoustic, folksy kind of stuff. Super good. Anyway, I've been listening to them for like 4 straight weeks now.
The folky stuff is becoming more popular in a lot of ways. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see.
I think the stripped down warmth of just the voice, just an instrument kind of thing that tells a story through the music is something that people value, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Other hobbies.
Do I spend?
Other hobbies.
I don't have just a ton of time. I just kill. I mean, I do stuff with Dad. So like my Saturdays are usually
Yes.
with Dad.
Okay.
So we can go up to the farm and we do bees and honey and all these different things. So I guess a lot of my hobbies are mixed up in what my family does. I watch Andy Griffith. I mean,
That's right.
I do
Yes.
love me some Andy Griffith.
You've seen all of them, I guess?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, duh. How many times?
Have you not? What do you?
What do you mean, have I not? Of course I haven't seen all of them. I'm an average, regular old person. But I bet a lot of people have seen a number of them who are 50 plus, which is funny to say. I'm almost there. But 50 under, you would be a weirdo. Having watched all of Andy Griffith. How many times have you watched all of the episodes?
I don't know. Jonathan asked me that the other day, and I was like 5 or 6. Like I don't know. Like, what
You've watched every episode like 5 times?
If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Like,
If it isn't broke. I suspect I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say I suspect that you are one of a handful of half a dozen world experts on the Andy Griffith Show, aged 50 and younger.
I don't know if I'd say world expert.
Yes, we can't test that clearly, and we can't.
There's
can't
so many
know
episodes. It's not like I know them all that well.
What are you talking about? You've watched them all 5 times. I bet if we said anything about one episode, you'd say, "Oh yeah, that's the one where da da da."
I've got to. I haven't watched the colored ones 5 times because that's when Barney leaves, and
So those aren't real Andy Griffith.
they aren't nearly as good. They're
So real aficionados of Andy Griffith don't watch the colorized versions.
Listen, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm the only one there, because you get to the color. I'm watching through the color because I haven't seen them that much. So right now I'm in the colored seasons.
Okay.
Which is like 6 and 7.
I haven't the slightest earthly idea. You could have said 26th and 7th, and I would have said, man, that show was around a lot longer than I thought. How many episodes or seasons were there?
I think 7, 8.
And how many episodes-ish, do you know?
Like 24 a season. I don't know. I've watched them on Netflix and things, so it's just like next episode.
And what year did it start? Do you know?
In the 1950s, I think.
I was just going to keep asking you question after question to prove my point that you probably are.
I could be wrong. Somebody's gonna fact check me and say.
Oh no! They're going to jump right in and say, yes, indeed, Andy Griffith is something that only 50-year-olds plus know about. What would an ideal day off look like?
Ideal day off. Ooh. See, I don't know. I'm a little bit introverted, so if I get time where I don't have to worry about anything else or anyone else, probably just alone, doing something like watching Andy Griffith, picking the guitar,
looking online for your favorite weird socks that you're going to buy next.
Okay, have you seen these?
I have seen those. Let's make sure the camera somehow gets on these. I don't know if you can see this here, but make sure that folks can see this craziness. So what's going on with your? If you don't know, David is the weird sock aficionado. So what are these crazy socks?
They're pork chops. It's a pig.
It's a pig chopping. Pork chopping pork.
Yes, it's
Okay.
pork chops.
Oh, it's a pork chopping
Wood. Yeah.
wood.
Pork chops.
Yeah.
It's
No, we get it, David. We get it. You don't have to keep explaining.
Well,
What
what
other-
happens is you get one pair of fun socks,
And you wear them and people notice.
and then you're the fun sock guy. So then everybody gets you socks, and before you know it, you're getting 16 pair of fun socks for Christmas.
So fun sock guy, huh?
Yes, apparently, but I don't buy fun socks.
That's awesome. How often do you wear not fun socks? Would that be the exception?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because most of my socks are fun, at this point.
Most of my socks are as boring as possible. That's kind of how I roll. So thanks for the questions, y'all. Good questions here. Favorite Greenville restaurant?
Ooh, I don't know. We go to. I go to Chick-fil-A. I know that's classic, but Chick-fil-A is great.
Lord's
As a
Chicken,
life
nothing
group,
wrong
we go
with
to Applebee's as a life group a lot, so
Uh-huh.
I like Applebee's.
Yeah.
Not too picky, really.
Any places you'd recommend? This is kind of a follow-up to that. Any places you'd recommend that only a Greenvillian would know? Because Chick-fil-A and Applebee's don't qualify as only a Greenville person would know.
No, not really. I mean, come to Catalyst.
There we
I'm
go.
there a
That's what I
lot.
was going to say. Catalyst Coffee Company, maybe.
I'm there more than any of those other places, so
Scones and coffee and
I just don't get food there. Yeah, I just get coffee. So.
pie or cake, and which kind?
Pie. Anything Nana will make, or Grandma. Either.
That's pretty definitive. Any particular ones that they do that you like?
I love Nana's pumpkin pie, and I love Grandma's peanut butter. I guess it's technically a peanut butter cake. I don't know. But that's some good stuff. That's, oh.
And Grandma and Nana are who? What's the...
Grandma's my dad's mom,
Yeah.
and then Nana, mom's
His
mom.
mom's mom. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Bob Rading says, so thankful for David's encouragement. Any advice for young adults considering ministry?
Ooh. Any advice for young adults considering ministry? I don't know if I have advice for myself considering ministry.
My advice is, don't give advice.
What I'd say, we talked about the word earlier, but be in the word.
Yeah.
Be reading,
Absolutely.
learning about who God is, learning about who we are, learning about God's redemptive plan for us. Learn those things, and you will grow in discernment. Be in community with God's people, and they can help tell you where God has gifted you. And it will become clearer and clearer when you are involved in those things. So that's what I'd say. That's how God's worked in my heart and life to bring me where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. As you were talking about that, I was thinking about how early on in ministry, well, let me say it this way. It is important to, not just early on, but throughout all of ministry, prioritize time in the Word, because the other stuff, the people stuff, the program stuff, the administrative parts of it, the being with people and taking care of them and leading them in programming, all of that stuff will fill every available moment if you let it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm learning that very quickly.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we've talked about that
Yes.
already in your time with Pillar Young Adults, Tuesday, August 24th. We're with you, David. Barney is a staple. Kendra says that.
Yes.
About, I guess she's talking about Andy Griffith and not the big, huge purple dinosaur. Kendra wants you to tell a joke.
Oh no.
Do you have jokes? Are you a joke man?
I have jokes. Do you want me to tell my signature joke? Like, stamp, this is David. This is... Okay, should I tell it to the camera? Is that... All right. So, there were 2 muffins in an oven. The first muffin said, "Boy, it's hot in here." The second muffin said, "Oh my goodness, it's a talking muffin."
That's the joke, y'all. That is the joke.
It's amazing. It's the greatest joke.
The greatest. Is it the greatest? I'm not sure it's the greatest.
I've been telling that one since 6th grade.
I have heard you tell that one more than once. A couple good questions here we'll come back to in a bit that will get us back into ministry and the work of God in your life.
Yeah.
But let's talk about you and personality. You've mentioned you're an introvert.
I am. I love people,
Yeah.
but I must recharge.
And you do what? You talked about habits a little bit, about spending time alone, at Catalyst, in the Word, whatever.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do you recharge?
Am I getting away on my own?
Yeah.
Time alone in the Word, always great. Time just playing guitar or watching Andy Griffith or spending time with family. I can recharge with family.
Yeah.
And then it's very helpful. We have a farm in Virginia that we go and work on. I mentioned that. To get away and escape to that. That's kind of been our escape from technology and things. Actually, my phone doesn't even get service up there anymore, which is not nice in some ways, but on another sense, I'm just away from everything.
Yeah.
And we work and do bees and whatever else. So,
Yeah.
those are the times, recharge.
So are you an early riser or a late partier? I mean, you get up early or do you stay up late? What are you?
I try and get up early, and I prefer being up early to staying up later. Sometimes life gets crazy, and I stay up later a lot of nights.
Sometimes life gets crazy. What does that mean, David? You're up till
never.
10? I'm up till 10, maybe 10:30.
That's the
that's
funny
crazy
thing.
late for me.
My crazy late is like 11, but I've got like most college folks.
Yeah.
1 o'clock is normal or
Yeah.
early, which is interesting. I'm learning that in young adults leadership too. That's when I want to go to bed at 10 o'clock.
They're like, we've just started getting the discussion going.
Yeah.
The fun has just begun. Let's see. Do you, if you had to pick breakfast, lunch, or dinner, what would be your favorite meal and what would you eat?
I don't know.
And Nana and Grandma's pie and cake are not acceptable answers, though they're
Okay.
lovely.
Well, you made me
sure.
think of their cooking though, and Mom's cooking too. Those usually happen at supper, so I'm gonna go with supper. I'm not a huge supper eater even.
Supper eater.
Yeah,
No?
dinner eater, supper. I don't know what
It's acceptable. It just sounded funny. That's all. Supper eater. So, are you a thinker or a feeler?
Ooh, I normally think thinker, but okay.
Because
I
your mind is going about the thing and analyzing, or
I'll say I feel things deeply when I think about them deeply, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I could say. I feel like I'm more of a logical thinker, and process things through that first, and then feel. So
so you think first, then feel.
yeah, probably thinker.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say you are silly or serious? And you don't get to do this waffling like, well, a little bit of both. And blah, blah. If you had to pick one, that's what I'm saying. Would you be silly or serious if you had to pick one?
I'd be serious probably.
Serious?
I think so.
Yeah. What makes you say that instead of silly?
I don't think I'm usually. I can have fun and laugh and things.
Sure.
I don't.
I mean,
think
look
I'm
at your
usually-
socks, for crying out loud. And your ridiculous muffin joke, for crying out loud. And we could keep going. Andy Griffith as a 19-year-old,
Yes.
all these kinds of things.
That's not silly though.
no,
I mean, that's.
It's a little silly. It's a little silly. Do you even know what? I'll let the cat out of the bag. Well, no, okay, forget it. We were talking earlier about things you watched and stuff. So this is about you, not me. So what was my question? Oh, what made you pick serious and not silly? Yeah, you can be silly, but
I can be silly, but I feel like usually in contexts, I'd not be the one cracking jokes or pulling things off topic or thinking of things.
so silly people pull things off topic. You
No,
just
I
said it. You just said it. All the silly people out here are like, you jerk face. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't mean that. I just think I process things in a more serious way usually.
Well, I watch you. I watch you observe a lot.
Yes, I do observe a lot. I think a lot. Thinking is something people don't do anymore. So I spend a lot of time in thought.
Yeah. People are not reflecting
No.
about life, about truth, about what's going on in their lives. It feels to me nowadays, as much as like humanity used to generally.
Well,
More so
yeah,
than
because
now.
you have instant opportunities to pull yourself out of the reality of how difficult the world is. So when
Yeah.
you've got that at the grasp of your fingers, why reflect?
Absolutely. Preaching. So, a few more little interesting questions here. What's one thing you don't like sharing?
One thing I don't like sharing. I gotta say, this came to mind. My Martin guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been. Jonathan thinks I treat my guitar better than I treat him. So, it's
Who's Jonathan, for those who may not know?
my brother.
Yes.
So when we're like driving in the car, I'll make sure the temperature is right for the guitar, not him. So.
Of course you should, because it's a Martin guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. What made you sad this week? What's this? Not so serious.
This
question.
week.
Yeah. or recently?
I'll say this. Being at the fair and seeing some of the brokenness of people in this world, that made me sad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. What's your biggest fear?
these are
Questions you did not know were coming because I didn't tell you beforehand.
biggest fear.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Being asked questions in public that you weren't ready for.
I used to be. Well, you knew me when I was super shy.
I've known you since you were 4.
Yes.
Or whenever you got here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to be very shy, and that would be very true of me.
Yeah.
In that being asked things in public would be the worst thing in the world.
How about one more of these crazy cards from the pile here? Waffle fries, curly fries, or traditional fries?
I gotta go waffle, because I've been going to Chick-fil-A and getting their Chick-fil-A sauce. There's no beating a waffle fry dipped in Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yes, there is, but I do like waffle fries. You're right; they're great.
What would you dip it in alternatively?
Regular old boring ketchup, because that's the best thing to put on fries. That kind of sauce doesn't go on fries; it goes on other stuff.
No, are you kidding me?
No, I'm 100%
Tell
serious.
him in the comments, y'all.
You're disgusting.
No,
That's
this
is. I bet there are a lot of people who agree with you. I'm just boring.
I think most people agree with me.
I doubt it.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes, because salsa just surpassed ketchup as the #1 condiment in America not too long ago, which means ketchup is still probably #2, and Chick-fil-A sauce doesn't even remotely come close, which means that in people's conceptions, when they get to Chick-fil-A and they're like, what do I dip my waffle fries in? They don't first go, Chick-fil-A sauce.
Well, this is because most fast food restaurants don't have Chick-fil-A sauce.
So you think the distinctiveness of the Chick-fil-A sauce at Chick-fil-A would be why they might pick waffle fries to go with Chick-fil-A sauce? Because most restaurants don't? Is that your argument? Is that the best you can come up with, David Bowlin?
No, that wasn't what I was saying.
That's what I heard. That's what I
think
heard.
you're using my words against me.
No, I think I'm explicating clearly what you meant. What do you think? Let's go to ministry and serious and leadership and relationship with God. What do you think makes for a good leader?
What comes to my mind, just as far as me evaluating my own leadership and stuff recently, has been 1 Timothy 4, where it walks through Timothy is a younger person, or younger as Paul calls him. He's probably 30s at that time, early 30s.
I've heard even some people say he's in the 20s.
20s?
Yeah, we went through 2 Timothy years ago, and I can't remember clearly, but yeah, he's young.
Yeah. Anyway, Paul's leading of him in that, and he lays down some guidelines for him in how he should lead these people throughout the entire book of 1 and 2 Timothy, really. But yes, somebody who I'm thinking particularly from a church leadership perspective, recognizes their own flaws and inabilities and leads from the scriptures.
Is there a connection that you were thinking of between recognizes flaws, leads from scriptures? What's the connection there?
Well, if we are all flawed humans who in ourselves cannot produce things that are good, if we are all flawed humans, then what other place to lead than God's word given to us? Kind of from that point.
Gotcha. So the recognition of our need for how God works.
Yes.
And how we lead people from the truth of his word.
Yes, wisdom beyond ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Absolutely. A couple of questions here related to this. What are your biggest dreams for Pillar Young Adults?
Biggest dreams for Pillar Young Adults, man. You're gonna have to wait and see. No, I've got many big and cool dreams. Really, one of the biggest goals of it though is I'd love to see young adults get connected into local churches.
Preach.
Yeah, because young, particularly single young adults are leaving the church at rates that are beyond, I think, any other demographic.
Yeah, and that's been accelerating the last number of years. Yeah.
Yes. So I want them, and not just to join, but for them to personally experience, wow, God works through the church.
Yeah.
And to say, this is an investment of my life that is worth taking. I want to be a part of what happens in local church, and to do that themselves. So that'd be a fruit I want this to bear. Not just that we have a ton of college and young adults come,
Right.
But rather that the ones who do see the beauty of the church and become a part of the body.
And that we would bring them along for that well and help them do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as a church. Yeah. I know that you were assuming all that. I just wanted to reiterate that part. What's the most challenging thing about leading others?
People leading others through things that you struggle with yourself. Like, people come to you as if, at least this has been my experience, especially in starting young adults, but for a while now, people come to you to lead them in things that you just as much so struggle in. Yeah. That's a difficult aspect of it. And it causes me...
Go ahead.
It causes me to have to rely on the Word in leading people, because I recognize, wow, look where I got myself in this thing as well. So
yeah, it's like what you were saying earlier about the weakness part.
Yes,
it forces you to rely on the Word. So when you're leading others with things where you realize, yeah, I'm with you on that. I understand that need, struggle, problem, issue. Yeah.
Well, and it's really a, like, why are you coming to me for this thing? Feels a little...
Feels weird to you.
Yeah, it feels weird still.
I've heard you say something like that. Yeah, a number of times. And you just use the word still. It still feels weird.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if it will become unweird, but we'll see.
Yeah, it
does.
Yeah. Probably not so much. Kendra says she's definitely identifying herself as a silly by your standards. She's right there with you. She also says, I've never dipped my fries in anything but ketchup until she moved down south. So she's calling me a northerner. Now, I rarely use ketchup, which I guess means she's fully assimilated, and waffle fries are the perfect delivery system for a delicious Chick-fil-A sauce.
Chick-fil-A sauce is where it's... Well,
We'll talk later, Kendra Hinkle.
I gotta say this. I haven't always been a Chick-fil-A sauce person. I didn't really have it until recently. I had it.
You've matured into that, is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Like you have finally found the nuance and the beauty of Chick-fil-A sauce.
Well, and until about like a couple weeks ago, actually, I didn't put it on my sandwich either. I did ketchup on but I realized this is so good. It needs to go on the sandwich too.
Have you been ordering the big ones that now, or
the big sandwich?
No, the big. You can buy big sauce and dipping stuff from Chick-fil-A. Like at the local Chick-fil-A, you can. Yeah, I know.
Okay. I may have to do that at some point. Though we don't have. Well, you can't buy waffle fries for yourself to cook at home. So.
That's probably true. Yes. Wow. Okay. So, For you in your 19 years of life, what's been a challenge that you've had to overcome? Particularly, how's it made you stronger for moving forward?
Yeah. A challenge I've had to overcome. I don't. Well, I was thinking about this. I've been blessed in such a way I haven't had to challenges in the ways we would think about it as huge life altering type things. I've been blessed. I haven't had things like that. Now, challenges. Here's I don't know. Reading Romans 9. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
No, about a year ago, I guess I started reading Romans 9. I read it a lot.
And it messed you up.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
A lot of stuff in there.
A lot of stuff. And then I read Ephesians 1 and the Gospel of John. Anyway.
Yeah. So let's go with that. Let's go with Romans 9 and Ephesians 1 and half the Gospel of John. And whatever that challenge represents, which, I mean, generically we could at least say it's the word challenging us in the way we think about who we really are at root in terms of our desires and God's role in that. And let's just talk about that in generic terms.
Yes.
As the challenge. How has that prepared you moving forward, do you think? And what's God taught you in that?
Well, many of the things you've heard me say today have come from a recognition of my own need to have reliance on God in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed my worldview in the way I operate in such a way that means it completely changes the way I operate and live my life for ministry, which is just the Word of God doing its work, changing my heart, doing what the Spirit does within my life to change me and make me a useful worker for His will. So, yeah, I didn't have a ton of where to go on that, on a challenge I've had. I've had challenges.
Sure. If Hebrews 4 is correct, that the Word of God is living and active, sharper than a two-edged sword. It divides joints, marrow. It opens us up. It does heart surgery, which that's just representative of many, many dozens of passages where we could talk about what the Word does, the law of God, how it corrects, it teaches, it rebukes, disciplines. God disciplines those He loves. That's a challenge to us. I mean, it challenges us. I don't mean it's a challenge for us to take up. It is that too, in terms of how it works out. What part of all that and the discovery of that is God teaching you from the Word right now? And I don't just mean the thing we've been talking about with what has been the challenge, it's made you stronger, but how is the Word challenging you? And what are you learning about God? And what are you learning about yourself now because of your time in the Word?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just finished reading through Romans.
Okay.
A lot of great stuff in there. I'm sure we're just talking about Romans 9.
I got a book for you later about Romans 9 okay. Carry on.
No, I don't really know where I'm. Can you rephrase? Like, what
What's
do you,
God currently teaching you?
Okay. He's teaching me in leadership a lot. In my need to be reliant on the Word. You mentioned some of that, how everything else can suck up your time.
Oh, yeah.
And how it's hard to, well, people don't see the by yourself in the Word, studying, praying, those sort of things that can feel like, hey, this isn't being productive in a way, are the things that make the other things you do productive.
Amen.
In a way that means God works through it. So in that, there's a lot of God opening my eyes to that through the scriptures, in seeing how I need to be daily fed by that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how much, and ministry is about the work of God in people, and leading them in that way and helping develop them, because you care for them. It's about shepherding, and it can be tempting to give into a form of ministry that, and frankly, the people can easily pull you into this if you continue to let it.
Yes.
Into a form of ministry that is about, it's only actually helpful and practical if it means these kinds of things that are not you sitting by yourself in the Word with the Lord in prayer, seeking His will. You have to, in order for the Word to do the work, in order for God's Spirit to move in the hearts of people, that has to be there. And yes, it can be easy to define ministry in the way people talk about it as if the utility is you doing it in the ways that they particularly want you to, which means that if you're sitting there in the Word, that doesn't seem practically useful.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is not true. Actually, it is how you care for and love people.
Well, and you see the brokenness of the world and people's need.
Sure, which is real.
And it's easy to get roped into that and say, okay, I need to be doing this action and all these things, all these things for them. And I think one thing, I mentioned this during staff meeting the other day, Romans 11, which has just been on my mind. Paul's talking about, talks directly to the Gentiles for a moment, and talks about the relationship between them and the Jews a little bit, and the reason the Jews are how they were at that moment. That is that God had a plan to work for their good,
right.
Through that for their good.
Right.
And you see that and you say, okay, it's okay to see brokenness sometimes. Know God's working, trust in Him, be in His Word to lead you, and He will work. So
yeah. It's easy to insert yourself as if that is the thing.
Oh, yeah.
When you often need to, not always, of course, but step back and not insert yourself, because then sometimes that gets in the way of God's work in the Word, in the truth of it. There are times where I've had a discussion that's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I look back and I go, I think I said this one thing in 10 minutes in, and I probably should have said, I think it's that thing that we just talked about 2 minutes ago, and at minute 12 said that, and then we keep talking, and then at minute 14 I said, I should have said that thing we just talked about at 10. Let's start there, and go and let's figure this out from here first. Let's not do everything. Let's work on this thing, because then I kept the conversation going, oftentimes thinking I was doing more help by talking about more stuff, or going more deeply about some other things, when the truth of the matter was this thing early on that I didn't have to insert myself later on, because the tension of saying, no, I think this is the thing, and then having the relational tension still exist, was me wanting to insert myself instead of, let's deal with this thing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, David Bowlin,
Yes.
last question.
Okay.
What are you excited or encouraged about?
What am I excited or encouraged about? Excited and encouraged about what God's doing for young adults here in Greene County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm continually, we mentioned we've done some of these events through the summer, and the amount of, which I don't judge the success of things based on numbers, but the numbers show the need,
Yes,
which is cool.
I've thought that exact thing. I said something like that last night after I went home. I said to my wife, we had this many kids here. Young adults.
They're kids for you.
Young adults.
I was a kid for you like
Young
a few
adults.
years ago.
You are a
Scott.
kid in my mind. Young adults. I said, there were this many young adults. We definitely could have had these 2 big, huge groups for small groups time. Break up into 4 groups. There would have been plenty of people still in those groups. And and I thought to myself, there's clearly a need. And I said something like that to her then. Yeah.
And it's easy if you look on a big level, and you can easily become discouraged too, if you think about it that way. But on a personal level, me seeing God's work in other young people, it always encourages me, and just in the people of the church. It's a beautiful thing that you can find joy in what God's doing in His church for His people, through His Word. It's great stuff.
Amen. Good stuff. Thank you for the coffee convo, David
Yes.
Bowlin.
Yes.
Indeed. Join us next week. Thanks for joining us this evening.